So what we've got here now is 2 cups sewn into our lining. Now what I'm going to do is finish sewing the lining pieces. So this is the back piece that's going to attach up the sides. It's really very basic. It's not a difficult pattern at all. It doesn't have a lot of pieces. What you'll find also while I'm here, I don't use a lot of pins. I'll use clips every now and then, but pins annoy me. The most pinning I'll do is for the cups. Where the 2 points come together at the side seam, you'll have an overlap of one of the other, like they won't meet up exactly, and that's just because it slopes. So I'll show you what happens. I'll actually sew it from the bottom. So one will overlap, I don't know if you can see that, one will overlap the other. That's normal, that's how it should be, and I'll show you why. Line up really well. Now because this is my own pattern, I added my own seam allowance, which is 1/2 inch. Most knit patterns will be 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. Some have that full 5/8 or 1.5 centimeters, but generally knits have a smaller seam allowance. Bras have the smallest, they have 1/4 inch, which I used to hate, but now I love. It seems heaps more precise. So that's the top half of our lining sewed up. Cups in the front, and there's the back band. Now I'm going to sew the top piece and the bottom pieces separately. You could join them together also, it's one entire piece of the swimsuit, lining and then outer, and then join them because you're going to join them at the underarms, the neckline and the legs, the leg holes. But for me, I actually like having that bulkier seam under the bust just for a little bit of extra support. So I don't mind that it's got that seam in there. You could actually cut it without if you really wanted to. Overlap your pattern pieces, redraw them, and then just have the single piece, for one piece for the front and one piece for the back. But like I said, I kind of like that under bust seam just for a bit of extra support under the bust. So I am going to just keep that in there. You know, your swim is your way, do whatever you like. So where the crutch pieces join on the front and back, again, you're going to get that little triangle overlap. Don't panic, it's supposed to be like that. That's how everything lines up. Sometimes you have to ease them into each other a little bit. You'll notice that if you're making underwear as well, the back piece needs to be eased into the front, I think, or the other way. One needs to be eased into the other. So sewn the lining pieces together down at the crotch or the gusset, and now I'm going to sew them up at the side seams. Just make sure everything's right way out. It's a bit harder to tell when you're just working with white lining. There's no real right or wrong side until you start sewing with it. I love this Rowan bodysuit pattern. I've talked about it so many times, but all the pieces just line up so well. And you'll find that with all of Megan Nelson's patterns actually. They're just really damn well drafted. I do love her patterns. And she's an Aussie, so go and support her. Lining pieces. I don't know if that's too big to see. My big pants. And the top. And I'm going to keep them separately. And now I'm going to go and zoom through doing the same with the outer pieces, top and bottoms. Of course, there's no cups in this piece, so it's just really basic construction on the overlocker. And I do overlock my pieces together without doing a zigzag on the machine as well. You can, if you're really worried, you can do extra reinforcing on the machine by zigzagging and then overlocking. But like I said, I've never had anything fall apart, so I don't mind. The day I have a malfunction at the beach is the day I'll do some extra work. So that's that there. What I like to do next is attach my lining to my outer and the top. That's going to be the wrong way. Make sure you're right side to right side. See? I do this stuff all the time. Now I like to sew with, and we're not going to attach it at the bottom because we need to be able to flip it the right way. So we're going to attach it all the way around the back, up the side straps and around the neckline. So I like to line things up at the side seams. Like so. Because your lining is more stretchy than your outer, especially in this case. I just like to make sure that they get clipped in increments, so the lining's not stretching further than the outer and you end up with everything being uneven. You still might find that the lining stretches a bit beyond, but a tiny bit's okay because it'll help it roll. If the lining is slightly smaller, it'll help it roll to the inside when you're wearing it. But there is something to do to help with that as well. So clip, 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 and this is why clips are great. They're fast. They're really secure. Like I thought they would slide, but they don't. And you're not poking holes in your fabric or putting leathers in them in my case because my pins are really blunt. I need new ones. These are great though. So this is where we're sewing. From side of strap, we need the tops of the straps open, don't close them, because we're going to attach the longer strappy bits to the toppy strappy bits. We're going to sew all around here. Again, I will just use the overlocker or serger if you're not Australian. And I almost did what I said I wasn't going to do. I like, when I'm sewing the stretchy stuff, I like sewing with the more stretchy piece of fabric down, because the feed dogs help it to feed through and not stretch out as much, if that makes sense. I'm sure I read it somewhere once and I do believe it's true. Alright, so lining side down, fabric side up, zooming along. I like to keep the lining just a touch outside the fabric, just because it's got that bit of extra stretch. That's the front neck. Now I'm going to do from this side all the way around the back and up the other side. Oh, and you don't have to stretch it when you sew. It's fine. The overlocker, it takes care of the stretchiness it needs in the threads. So don't stretch as you go because you'll probably pull it out of shape. And actually we're going to go back and support it with elastic around the armholes and back. So that's the entire top piece of the swimmers, attached outer and lining. Now I'll show you how we pop our elastic on this piece to give it sort of extra support under the arms and around the back. I found that I don't really need it around the neck, so I've always left that out.